So, hello guys. Today we are going to take an interesting topic and we are going to go in details a little bit. So, NATO and Russia, will they be clashing? I am just checking on Polymarket and I think they will not. But the main topic that I want to talk about is Romania got hit by a Russian drone. So, now you're either in panic mode, either you don't care because who knows politics and what's happening in Romania is not scared about this because Romania will not attack Russia, will not retaliate, will not trigger Article 4. And here is why, because I'm going to enter a little bit into details here. So you see the chances on Polymarket for NATO and Russia are very low. It's like until June 5% and until December 31 24%. I don't know why it's so high, but it's still low. So what I want to tell you is Romania it's in a big political mess. So they don't really have the political power to unite and say something, oh, we are going to do this or do that. And one of the main reasons is the elections. I will explain you why they will not stay together and say either this or either that, because it's a very interesting, very different from US and England, very different politics and very different parties. And I will show you first what happened. So that's basically the damage. They hit two apartments. Maybe you know already, in a border city, not really a border, so it's basically the city is here. Okay, it's a border city, but not on the border necessarily, a few kilometers in. Anyway, so the drone has to fly over Ukraine and until here. Now, I heard they say that it wasn't intended to go there, the drone, and the Ukrainian defense deflected it and somehow flew in Romania. Of course, they will find an excuse. They will not trigger any article. They will not go to war because, first of all, they didn't form even a government. They don't have. Basically, I'm also from Romania, but I'm not living there. But they are not united at all. The vote is very split, and I will show you what happened actually at the vote. And here is the result. So I will explain you a little bit the parties from my perspective, and you will see it's very different from US politics and from English politics. So basically, this SPD, it's the mild left on the paper, let's say, the Social Democrats. Now, those guys are with ex-communist members. They just say, okay, we're Democrat now, Democrat Socialists. They got the biggest vote, always got the biggest vote. Now they just got 2 million. So let's see. Out of 18 million people that have the right to vote, only 52 or about 9 million 0.45 went to vote, which is pretty low, I would say. So let's see the results. This site, it's an official site. So results site, they have a lot of results. They go back to 1990. Anyway, so that's the main party. They always get the votes. They go to the poorer areas. They used to give free stuff and get the vote of the poorer people or elderly people in the rural areas. Now, this one is interesting because they managed to get the second place, and those guys are quote-unquote radicals, but they are basically, and also the Social Democrats are not really, they don't have any ideology, they just are there for continuity. They don't do anything not worthy of mention or change. They just stay there. A lot of them are getting accused that that they just put their family in high position and go in deeper corruption. I mean, the country goes in deeper corruption because of those guys mainly. So now that's the counter vote, our, which translated gets it would mean gold. But those guys are basically the radicals, the pro people, the populists, whatever you want to call them, in the media. Some say it used to be a puppet party made by those guys, but it's or supported by those guys pulling the strings, and it grew. It now they are scary for those guys. So those guys got 18% and they will not form a coalition. They are incompatible with those who are pro-European. So those guys are on the paper pro-European, and they're just basically taking money, corruption, and having nice positions for themselves and their families for 30 plus years. They formed maybe they missed one government or something for a short time, but they basically formed every government. Now there are those guys who is the controlled opposition, if you want, the mild right, which they formed a coalition and ruled together with those guys, but now those guys voted them out because they actually did something. Some of them did something, some of them are corrupt. They are somewhat less corrupt than those guys. So, and those guys are also the new party, the younger generation, progressive stuff. It started as a protest party, but I mean, it changed a little bit. So that's basically our far left, but without, it's not as extreme as in the West. And now you get the interesting parties. Now this one is just a lady who broke off those guys, also broke off this party, and she made her own party, and she's shouting and making a big circus on TV, slamming her fist on wherever she can, and she got actually a lot of, quite a lot for such a party who's not really having an ideology, even on the paper. I mean, those guys basically have something on the paper, even if they are not the best. But this is a surprise also, and this one is also a last minute surprise for the candidate that came out of TikTok, our candidate that was accused of being a Russian spy and buying bots on TikTok, which it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty credible because I think he was ranked 8th or 4th, I'm not really sure, on the TikTok worldwide, and it's no chance, no way. For a country with 19 million people, it's no way. So basically, party of young people, 6%, and those guys are just basically a minority party, Hungarians from Romania. They stick with any normal or mild government, either those guys or either those guys, who are basically our left and right, classical left and right. So they got only 34, let's go with 35% together. If you would have a lot of parties in US, and Democrats and the Republicans would get 35, would be a real shock. Anyway, those guys, which are Sense, FD, and other whatever parties are here, there are either guys that broke off the main parties, or like some unheard lunatics, and you get a lot of people, or people who just try to be in the parliament without being part of a party. It's a lot of wasted vote, in my opinion, but that's this party is real democracy. Like, everyone can have its own party, and it's easy to make a party. So basically it's about 1 million vote. I would say 1 million people of votes wasted, because what's under 5% doesn't get representation. I think they get in EU, they get to send one or two people in European Union Parliament or something. They get some minor position if they, I think if they get above 1%. I'm not sure about this. But anyway, what's under 5%, it's no name and unimportant, and they don't get any seats. So it's impossible for those guys, and I will show you on Polymarket now, to form a government. So those are a lot of bets that you can see on Polymarket. And for over a month now, there is no government in Romania. So how can they respond to Russia or do something with the NATO together? We're in a limbo, basically. So right now, the question is, among other questions, will the next prime minister be a technocrat? The technocrat means someone who's good at his job and has a lot of experience and is basically neutral person. Because none of the parties agree to work together, and if they agree, they just shake hands and make 20% together after a coalition. So nobody can form a government right now, and I don't know what will happen, but there is a chance we will have another round of parliamentary election. But I would be curious what kind of outcome will that have. So basically, you can also see here the biggest chances to form the government has the Social Democrats, who are always basically the reformed communists, and the minorities who are just working with whoever they can to get some representation. The radicals, this lady is also a radical, the leader of the party, but she broke off this party. But they don't have the majority, and they kind of argue now, and it was also proposed that the radicals and those guys will form a government, but I think it will backfire for both. So yeah, it's basically it will be a long limbo. So that's why I'm thinking, and I'm sure that they will not give any response that matters, or any risky response. They would rather just kick out some officials, close the consulate, I don't know, post something about it, but they will not do any action. So that is how it looks. And yeah, I don't think they will fight. So basically, I think I will go for this, but that's not about the betting thing. So I just wanted to highlight this. Let me know what you think. I would really appreciate your opinions. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys, and see you with the next one.